Hello friends, how you doing? Day 1636. Hope you're amazing on this Sunday night. I just want to come in and just share with you some thoughts on a reel that I saw. And it was an interview of an older gentleman. And he just was just spitting fire. I was like, dang, this is good stuff. And so I thought I'd just share with you what he says and just share some thoughts on that. And so the post itself was actually named Unconscious Parents Raise Unconscious Children. Okay? And if you think about it logically, of course, you can't teach what you don't know, right? And so if you're unconscious, you're going to raise unconscious children. Because in general, humans, how do we learn? We learn by seeing. We do what we see. Many times we may want children or just people to do what we say. But I think if you raise children, you know they do what you do, not what you say necessarily. And so, okay. So, anyways, this is what the man said. Okay, he said, "Don't put your emotional home in another human being. When you put your emotional home in other people, you give them a power over you no human should have. When the people who you look to for validation, inclusion, acceptance, and love, if they don't give it to you on a certain day, you will have an increased sense of anxiety and avoidance." And so this is the foundation and the formation of the attachment style. And I'll do another video on that. Actually, I've done a few videos on attachment style. Very important. But anyways, going back to what he said. When you put your emotional home in someone else and they reject you, you feel like a homeless person. Because you have no address. And the reason why is because you made them your address. Oof. Dang, that hit me when I heard that. And so just some thoughts. I made some notes. Just some thoughts. A healthy person knows that a healthy parent should actually be an emotional safe place for their kids. And healthy kids being raised by healthy people know that their family is an emotional safe house. They grew up that way. The only people who learn the opposite are people who are raised on neglect, abuse, abandonment, and survival. And so, of course, the world's not perfect. And, we definitely don't want to normalize trauma and what it is, but it should really be aspiring to what we should be doing when we learn from these things. Okay? So what we want to do is normalize creating a safe place for people to heal. Okay? Because again, people who are hurt or traumatized, many times they don't even realize it. Because if you think about it, as a young child, your parents are who you look to, or your caregivers are who you look to for direction. And if they were not safe, a young toddler or child does not have the emotional maturity to be able to decipher what the adult in their life says or does to them in a proper manner, unless it's explained to them. So context really matters. But how many adults take the time to sit down, have the patience, and explain everything, especially when it's certain circumstances, right? And so, a few things to think about. Where should you make your emotional home? God? Maybe you believe in a higher being, the universe, or maybe yourself. Just a question that I wanted to throw out to you. Like, where should you make your emotional home? And so it depends if you have faith, or if you don't, hopefully you can create that for yourself. Because at the end of the day, you ultimately have to take care of yourself first. If you ever want to take care of somebody else, hopefully you have something in you to be able to give them. And if you haven't done the work, then you're pouring from an empty cup, if you know the analogy. And so, what does that mean? Let's see what I read here. When you're creating a safe space, obviously you're risking vulnerability, you're risking being hurt, but you're also getting so much in return. There is a balance and a healthy interdependence when you're with somebody or creating that safe space, or have that with somebody. Because at the end of the day, we're all connected. we're not meant to go through this world alone. Okay? My deepest and most important core value is connection. Now, I didn't really understand it for a long time. I just knew it deep down. But then when I did some exercise to figure that out, I'm like, wow. Along with a number of other core values, but connection is my one overarching core value. And so, if you want to help somebody, again, this is exactly why you need to feel safe by yourself first, and be able to actually build a safe home for yourself, because you're going to be going on a journey. Okay, and what is that journey? That journey is a journey of self-discovery. But that's what life is, in my opinion. And we're all at a different point in our journey. And so, I guess I'll just share with you kind of the journey I've been on. Man, I was so blind to so much of how I grew up and how I was thinking. The biggest thing was just how my brain thought. I thought, I was pretty intelligent and made good decisions. And in general, I did for the most part. But now that I've learned a lot, I've like, wow, a lot of stuff that how I was thinking was actually quite toxic or unhealthy. But I didn't realize that growing up because I didn't know. And so you have to be able to willing to go through that journey, to look inwards, to figure out who you are, basically. What you're about, what your values are, what you believe and why you believe. Most people actually have no clue why they believe what they believe. They just accept whatever is given to them. Part of it, a huge part of it, is because they're not, we weren't taught critical thinking, and or they don't self-reflect. So if somebody says something, they just take it as truth and they just spew it, and the cycle goes on and on. And the thing is, you will live with yourself for the rest of your life. Everyone else is just a chapter in your life journey. That includes your parents, your partner, or partners, right? Depending on how many you've had in your life, your children, your friends. We are just on a never-ending journey. But the one constant will always be yourself. Hence, that's why it's so important to actually do the what I call the hard work to know yourself. Okay? And so, one thing I think is important is to be willing to love greatly. It's scary, I know, especially in this world nowadays. And really, you don't want to be relying on anyone or anything material to be your source. That's why you gotta focus on yourself. And again, if you have a faith in God or the universe, then, that's another source for you. But love is basically risking it all and being vulnerable, being willing to be hurt. And you can only really do that authentically and genuinely once you build a solid foundation for yourself first. And that requires you, again, going on that journey of self-discovery. And so, just going back to the title of the whole video, was that unconscious parents raise unconscious children. And so my hope is that you choose to break that cycle. I've been seeing in my parents, like, my gosh, and my aunts and uncles, like, sometimes they say stuff and, like, it makes no sense at all, logically. And then when I ask them about it, well, how come? Why? They can't really even give me an answer, like a logical answer, a rational one. And so I've seen many of my elders kind of just regurgitate what they've thought instead of actually critically thinking about it and say, does this actually make sense? Does this actually serve me and the people around me and ultimately the world? And so at the end of the day, hopefully you're willing to do the hard work, because so many people have gone through neglect growing up, abuse, abandonment, lack of love, acceptance. Oh my gosh, that's a big one. But again, like, you have to understand that young children growing up just don't have the emotional maturity to understand what an adult is trying to communicate. That's why you have to slow down, be patient, and actually explain to them step by step. But again, everyone is exactly where, you're where you're supposed to be. And so I hope you can accept that. You're not ahead, you're not behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. based on the experiences you've had. You only know what you know. And right now, do you realize that you're actually doing the best you can with what you know? Did you ever think about that? Because that's the truth. And high five. But I hope that you decide to learn, to grow, to stretch yourself, to get outside of your comfort zone, so that you can become better, a better version of yourself. Because as you show up better, it allows other people around you to show up better. It gives permission to people. Say, hey, he's growing, or she's growing. She's overcome, he's overcome. I've gone through something similar to that, or I'm going through something similar to that. If they can get through it, I can get through it. And so it's just this whole ripple effect, okay? But question is, are you creating a ripple effect of good going up? Or are you creating a ripple effect of negativity spiraling down? I hope it's the former. And you know what? It's going to take some work. It's going to take a lot of energy. It's not going to be fun, necessarily. And it's not going to be easy. But I promise you, it is worth it. You just got to be willing. Okay? But, yeah, you know, my friends, there's, like I said, we all have patterns in our life. And we tend to repeat the same patterns over and over again. There's a lot of generational trauma. And, you know, that's the majority of people out there. And if you want to stop that in your life, I hope that you choose to stop that cycle. Just remember, your parents, it's their first time being parents. Even if they had 2 children or 3 children, they're just learning as they go. That's it. And so if you're blaming your parents, you're blaming anybody, I just encourage you to just stop and just to hopefully empathize and understand that, hey, you know what, everyone's just doing the best that they can. Anything anyone does, I tell you right now, has nothing to do with you. Nothing. Zero. Because most people don't know what they're doing. Correction. They don't know why they're doing what they're doing. It's because they're programmed a certain way. Because of their upbringing. And so, if somebody is triggered, and they say or do something to you, that has nothing to do with you. It was important to them, but it may not have been important to you. So if you can understand that, hopefully it gives you a power of yourself. Just know that, oh wow, okay. They got some stuff to work on. Just as we all have stuff to work on. I still have lots of stuff to work on. I'm learning something about myself every freaking year. So it's a never-ending journey, my friends. I've learned a lot, but oh my gosh, I know I still got more stuff to do. And I think the only way I can really do that and help others is to be by leading by example. And so if you want to make the world a better place, start with the person in the mirror. It's very simple. Don't try to change somebody else, because have you tried doing that? I did in my early parts of my growth journey. I tried to make people do things and, you know, try to push people into growing, changing. Like, I did it with the right intentions, but people will only change when they're willing to and wanting to. And so now, the way I see it, what I'm doing is I'm planting seeds. I'm planting seed. I'm planting seed. I'm planting seed. I'm planting seed. This video, I'm planting a seed. You may not be ready to actually receive what I just shared with you, and that's okay. But when you are, a year down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, hopefully some of the stuff that I share will start to resonate. You're like, oh, okay, I get it now. If you don't get it, it just means that you're not ready yet, and that's okay as well. Okay, you're exactly where you're supposed to be in your journey. Okay? Anyways, I know it's a bit of a long one, but my gosh. Oh, that old man, I should say old man, older gentleman, oh, what he shared was just so good. I hope you got something from it as well. But that last thing he said, when you put your emotional home in someone else and they reject you, you feel like a homeless person. You have no address because you made them your address. Oh. How many people have abandoned themselves? I hope you haven't. And if you have, please stop. Because you are important. You are amazing. You have so many gifts and talents and beautiful things to share with the world. But you have to stop abandoning yourself and stop stepping into your power, because you have massive power. Okay? And the world needs you. Okay? Again, I love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow.